this. Did we get dressed up for New
I'm saying, got a little spiffy for you. You know what I mean? Check me out.
Cleaned up a little bit.
We did get a little. I think we cleaned up just a little bit, as you can see. It is the last day of 2021, and we are about to transition into 2022.
There you go. There you go. Celebration. Celebration.
So we had to get dressed up just a little bit, here on Black Nerd Fridays, okay, where we talk about everything nerdy, whether it's animated, written, or even in live action, okay? So as you can see, the three of us are back. Last week we weren't here because it was Christmas week, and we had family things we had to take care of, but we are here this week, and what are we talking about? And let me get in on D. What you got there?
I got Claus, you know what I mean? That good old first edition, you know what I mean? Part 1.
Good old first edition. And this here, okay, Claus, as I like to call the man, the myth, the legend, is really going to talk about the origins of Santa Claus. And I think it's pretty interesting because, you think about Santa Claus, we think of him as a fat, jolly old white guy who brings people gifts, right? And, he checks his list. He's checking it twice. But this here took a little bit of a different spin. It went back during the medieval times with Santa Claus and really tried to kind of highlight what was his origin story. And I think it was really an interesting story. It was made by a guy named Grant Morrison, who, as everyone should know, for me at least, had written one of my favorite graphic novels, which is Final Crisis. But he's done tons of other work in the DC universe. But again, I think that this is just a really cool take, a different take on Santa Claus. But before we get into our typical questions, I got to go back to my guys, and just ask the question, what are you guys drinking on? Because, we always have something at least to drink on here. And I'm going to start with D on this one. What you got?
I was going through to my favorite.
Go to your favorite page.
One of my favorite pages is when Claus was talking to an individual character and said something that was very prominent that I think a lot of men need to understand when it comes to relationships. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Shout out to the one and only who always hold us down. Shout out to Brick Terrarian Beer Hut, man. Blessing me right here with this one thing, real beautiful. The super void. So this is an imperial barrel aged stout. This is what percentage is this? I think this thing is clocking in at 12. So this is 12%.
I'm loving the can too.
Yeah,
that
can color is crazy. I mean, it's probably hard to tell if I don't get the right angle, but that detail in the background, I like that.
Oh, really. I can see it.
Yeah, it's real nice right there. So that's definitely kudos to that. And then shout out, you already know, man. You already know you had to get the cobbler gobbler. Come on, let's get it.
Yo,
that 20, that good old braggot, that creation from Brick Terrarian and Beer Hut. And this thing is literally, did it say 20? Yeah, 24.6%. It's crazy. Brick got to correct me, but I think a braggot is a mixture between a mead and a beer.
Yes, sir.
But this thing is I can't wait to taste this because I was like, man, I would love a peach cobbler beer. Shout out to anybody who's trying to make it. But Brick stepped up, so I can't wait to see what Brick got going in store. Shout out to Brick.
Yeah, shout out to Brick for sure.
All right, so what you got over there? What you got? What you
talking about Claus, and we going back to my old style favorite old school classic, Schoff. Oh, wow. This is a Belgian dark brew with spices, orange peel, and thyme, and it is I believe 10%. 10%. So this is going to be something nice and easy to drink on and sip on. This is what I think of when I read Klaus, and I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm definitely excited to get into that beer. That's one of my typical holiday beers I drink every year, so you already know we about to get into it.
Ooh, nice. Well, I would have a drink, but I'm in the process of, trying to save the alcohol for later when we actually start, with my folks, because we're actually going to try to ring in the new year, but we're actually going to, probably have something a little bit stronger. We're probably going to have a little bit of rum, or maybe a little bit of a cognac, because that's usually what we bring in the new year with. I would get it.
Because you just drink the cognac and you make beer the chaser. That's how we get down. See, he got it too.
See, now, see, Steven, now,
come on,
see,
son, you're slipping on us.
listen, I'm not slipping. I'm just trying to be responsible. You get what I'm saying? You know, because you
responsible. You driving?
Exactly.
Well, I gotta walk from
I got something else over here. I got something else for us. You know, something that we like. You feel me?
Hold on. What you got? What you got?
You know what I'm saying?
That pure white.
Yeah. So that might get cracked open a little bit just to sip on there.
It might. It need to be. What you talking about? It looked like it was already cracked open a little bit. Hold on, let me get that. Let me get that zoom in on you.
That's a nice, right? That color is nice. Excuse the fog. Excuse all that extra moist. I mean, that ghetto condensation. You know what I'm saying?
Condensation.
But, shout out to Brick. You know what I mean, but that color is epic right there. That's dark right there. It's dark.
How that nose hitting?
Man, that nose is barrel age esque. You know what I'm saying? Barrel age esque. It's definitely something that we need to get more of. That's all I can say.
Okay. Well, you know, like I said, so we already got our drinks down. I mean, the biggest thing here that we always get into for anything we talk about is what's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Let's go.
So I'm going to start off with Mr. Refine and tell me, what was your good for Klaus?
You know what I mean? Before we get to that, let me just show me pouring up real quick.
There you go. I see you. See you in that holiday glassware. I see you.
Facts. So anyways, cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
So, my good. This storyline was crazy. I've never seen this part or side of Santa ever be told. We always, like you said, see that typical old fat white guy, jolly. This dude was rugged. He was savage. He was a hero. He was a man's man. He loved kids. He just did everything that was as far as Santa loves kids, but he just did everything against the typical Santa when you expect it. He was cut up, you know what I mean? He had a very good storyline going on. The artwork was crazy. I'm talking about, it made me think of something and it slipped my mind now, but it brought me back to something else I used to watch when I was a kid, and I can't think of what it's called, but this artwork was nuts. Just the whole storyline together got me, and I think that it was a very well put together story, and I like to see a continuation of it after the end because it ended very, very dope. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh, I like that. All right, D, what about you?
Because I was getting all dressed up. I forgot to get my trusty dusty notebook. Shout out to everybody.
I was gonna say you got the notebook on there.
Yeah, I didn't have my trusty dusty notebook. I was slipping on y'all. For me, I'm just gonna say I just really like the I really like the artwork. I think the story just played to me like a Witcher story. Like any type of medieval time. It was pretty straightforward on what was going to happen. It didn't really deviate outside of how the story was being told, and I just like it's just a good story. Like, it made me want to go hop on The Witcher and finish The Witcher 3, which I know has been out since 2015, but I take my time. So yeah, that's my good. I like the story, and I like that he had the wolf. Come on, I'm a big fan of animals. So you gotta have a wolf.
I gotta say, nobody talked about the white wolf just
the dire
yet.
Wolf. Yeah, the dire wolf in there. It was a win.
Lily. I have to say, I gotta agree with you guys on this. I think overall it was just a beautiful. Like the artwork was great. I think the artwork was beautiful. I think, like you said, it really reminded me of The Witcher. It really reminded me of just a good story in that time, where you have, these small towns where, you have this character who's kind of a myth. They bring in this whole idea of a little bit of magic, a little bit of spirits from the forest. And again, you have a baron who's just overbearing, who really doesn't care about the people. It really kind of brings down the whole aura of the town itself. But I just think it was really just beautifully written. I think it was a really nice setup of how they kind of introduced his story. It would be interesting to see where the continuation will go with this. I do like the fact that they didn't bring in Mrs. Claus, because when they did, Santa Claus Private Eye, Mrs. Claus was just a womp, 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 womp. And she wasn't this in this one because they didn't really show her. But it would be interesting to see what happens to his wolf, Lily, who I just thought was fantastic. And I was a little concerned because anytime they have animals in anything, and we've seen this in a lot of movies, they like to kill off the animal. So I'm a little concerned, but that didn't happen. So that's the only spoiler I'm going to put out there. But I'm just saying, that in itself I thought was really nice. They didn't kill off any animals because I did not want to cry while trying to read this. But I just thought it was really a really good like graphic novel. I just thought it was great. So with that, I wonder, do you guys have any bad? And we're gonna start with Mr. Refine again on this one.
I actually have no bad. I have ugly, but I don't have any bad at all. It was just very well put together for me. But yeah, I don't have any bad. I got some ugly, and I agree with you as far as what I thought was going to happen with Lily. I thought they were going to kill her, but bad, no, I don't have none. Ugly, yeah, I got some of that.
Okay, D, what you got for me? You think you got any bad over there?
No, because I mean, like I said, it's surprisingly that I don't have a bad. I mean, well, you know, I'm gonna say for my ugly. My bad.
Well,
it's
you know
no
what?
bad. I'm gonna just go straight to the ugly. I got no bad right now.
You know
I
what?
really
Go
don't.
straight to the ugly. Let's hear, because I didn't have any bad myself. I think
All right, cool.
we kind of went to the end.
The ugly is all the people that allowed the damn Baron or whatever his damn name was,
Lord Magnus.
Yeah, Lord Magnus to do what he did. I mean, like, and when I say do what he did, you know, I don't want to do any spoilers. Go get the story yourself. But it just really showed to me how weak we as a species are to be comfortable and to be accepted, even when a structure or societal structure is set up. It enslaves you literally to the point of death by work. And I mean, for me, that just hit hard that it was like everybody wanted to make a change, and everybody who could have stood up to make a change didn't, and everybody who wanted it to be that way so that they could abuse people and lord power over them, then they did it as well. So my ugly is going to be all the people in the story.
That sounds like one of the other things that we looked at before, where we said that just the people in general were just terrible.
What about one of the samurai joints we was talking about? Might have been Ninja Scroll or something.
It might have been that one, yeah.
If not, it was no, I remember which one it was. I can't remember the name of the story, but it's the one with the demon pig and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But anyways, my ugly is kind of right on par with D's, where you think about the Lord Magnus and how he was, and he was an evil person, and you kind of got a glimpse of that when he was younger. They flashback to that aspect of him. He was an evil person, number one, but number two, how did he manipulate these people into believing, okay, we need to give away all our toys for this one child? And you know, the child is who he is, but you're allowing yourselves to be manipulated by this one person, and it's way more beyond the town than it was soldiers, as you can see what happened in the story. So you allowed yourself to be manipulated. He pretty much worked those people to death. And it was disgusting the way that he was trying to plot and set everything up, and the people were allowing it. I didn't like that at all. So that's my ugly with it.
Oh man, I gotta say, I think my ugly taps into what you guys are talking about as far as just the fact that people are just going with it. But I also think just with Lord Magnus or Baron Magnus, just the fact that what was the initiation for him to try and even go down this route, right? Like he was like really singularly focused on trying to get himself into a power position.
Yep.
And he was willing to lie, to kill, to manipulate, and even call upon demons to get what he needed. And that to me is like, I get human nature. Of course, there are some people out there who probably would, if they had the similar opportunity, probably would take it. But I just think that sometimes, you know, it's one of those things where it's just, he really took it to like the ends of the ends. Like it was just like no rhyme or reason. He was like, I don't care. Even at the end, he was still like, still trying to make sure this went through. So to me, it was just the ugliness of his character, but also just the fact, and I'll save it for a later question that I have, just how some people in particular who were very close to him were just, like you said, willing to just go along with it and didn't even really stop to think about the validity of some of the things that he was talking about. So I'll leave it
to reality. How many people do that right now?
I know.
I use R. Kelly as an example. Unfortunately, I use him as an example.
Yeah,
that's one of us. And how about Jeffrey Epstein? You know what I mean? You want to go down that path. So it gets ugly. It gets ugly, and that's human nature, especially when you have power.
That's true. That is true. And so with that, you know, I think we all are kind of highlighting on or talking about a little bit about what we think about this version of Santa. But I mean, we've done a couple of different iterations of him this time, right? We've got Krampus, who is the evil Santa. We've covered, you know, we did Santa Claus Private Eye earlier this month. And now we have this one, which is more the medieval Witcher style type of Santa Claus. And so I'm just curious what you guys think. And D, I'm going to start with you. Like, what did you really think about this character? Like, do you think he was well-rounded? Do you think there were some things that were missing, one-dimensional? What you got?
No, I liked his character. Again, he was a good at heart person, and he stuck to it. He stuck on who he was, and he had morals as far as treating people, at least in the story, the way that he wanted to be treated, which is going to be with respect. I do think to a point there's things where I feel in the story he could have spoken up and fought more about, but that's probably one of my favorite pages, which I kept right here, or a couple of pages in the story that he explained why he didn't step up and fight back with certain accusations. And I was like, okay, I respect that even more. I was like, he really was just like, if you love me, you love me, and you're gonna fight for me 100%. And if you don't, then it is what it is, and I'm just gonna accept you for what you are, who you are, and what you do. So, shout out to Klaus.
I like that. All right, Mr. Refine, what you got over there? What you got?
I think this is the best version of Santa that I've seen. And prior to that, I was going to say it was Private Eye, because Private Eye was a G. He was a G with his, but Klaus, what was his name supposed to represent? Victory of people or something like that?
Yeah, people. Exactly.
Yeah, I had it in my notes, but this version he really touched my heart. He rang true to himself. He also showed a lot of love and compassion for people. And he, did what it took. He stood against the test of time, against all odds. I thought a couple of times that he was going to be taken out. And he definitely, like I say, he showed his true self. And I respected that the most, despite of any odds against him. Because if you think about the story, everybody in the town, pretty much, including the parents, and obviously the soldiers were against him, but he continued to push forward his narrative and his mission on how he felt or what should happen during, can't remember the Yuletide. So I respect him. This is the best version of Santa I've seen, hands down.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, I think for me, the Santa Claus here, or Claus, right, I thought was pretty interesting because he was very rugged. And typically with the previous versions that we've seen of Santa Claus, he hasn't been like that, right? And a lot of times they just view him as a guy who does the deliveries, right? He's not the one who's making the toys because he has elves that he's working. It's a slave away at making the toys. But in this case, it was interesting that when he would play a song or hear the songs of the forest, the toys would appear. Now, it was unclear if he was the one making them or there were spirits in the forest that were helping him. But I did think it was pretty interesting that the songs that he would play would kind of bring him back, and that he would use different types of herbs and potions to kind of heal himself. Like it seemed as though regardless of what would happen to him with battle, he was still able to heal. So there seemed to be some type of mythical, like magical piece to him besides just being able to deliver gifts, right? So to me, I think it was a different take on the story of how are you going to bring about the Christmas spirit to people who are down and out. And I think it's pretty interesting because these people really had their Christmas spirit stripped from them. And here comes this guy who's like, I think that that's unacceptable. And remembering what the town used to be. And I thought that that was pretty cool. But I do think it was interesting to see how you brought up, D, where you talked about the importance of, fighting for someone and really believing in a person if you say that you love them, right? And how with the lady, the love of his life, how she didn't really believe in him. So I thought that was pretty interesting. How, really he still was willing to help her, although she wasn't there to help him in the past. But I do think it was pretty interesting just seeing his character kind of go through these different, situations and really be able to still remain or still stay true in the Christmas spirit. So I really like that about it. I thought that was pretty cool. But I do think that having him in this type of fighting form really kind of helped redefine, it kind of reminded me of when they did James Bond with Daniel Craig, how before James Bond was really smooth and dapper, but now he's really rugged and getting beat up a lot. I feel like
has some scars on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like
some real life,
Santa Claus fight, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, we talked about these characters a little bit, and I had to put this question in here: who was your least favorite character? And they're all kind of related to each other. They're all in the same family, right? But I mean, there might be someone else that you hated in the story, right? But I just kind of want to see, D, who
You
is
already,
it?
you already know I'm going
Or
with. Yeah, you already
who you
know I'm
going
going with Lady Dogmar. I'm
with?
going. Yeah, Lady Dogmar.
Yes.
She could have died. Okay, I'm just gonna put it that way.
I
Like
agree.
it's just facts. I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat it, anything of that nature. She was, um, it was like reality was showing itself to her, and yet and still she still was just like, whatever. I've lost my father's dead, so I lost all hope. And your people are still here. You know what I mean? And it was like, it was just weird. And then even with just the relationship with Claus and just all that, I was just like, yeah, it's a wrap for you. You're on my list. You're just on my list. Everybody else, at least they showed me like who they were in times of struggle or times of oppression,
Right.
or being the oppressor. So I respected that because they showed me who their character was up front. So shout out to the writing on that. But Lady Dogmar, like, I was like, nah, you can miss me. Like you could go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He said she can go. She for the streets.
Right, right.
What about you, Mr. Refined? Who was your least favorite character?
I'm gonna surprise you, but it's actually Jonas, man. Jonas was a spoiled ass brat. Like Magnus was the adult, and he is who he is, but he was pretty much Jonas was being his father all over again. And what reason do you have to be ungrateful when you have 1,000 toys in front of you every day and you sitting there stomping on them, pissed off, breaking them up? I don't understand where this aggression and anger comes from. Besides the fact that your father was manipulating some of that aspect, but still, he just reminded me of a spoiled ass little kid. I can't stand spoiled ass little kids. That's just me. So he really hit my nerve, man.
So note to everybody. Clearly, we know that Mr. Refined kids are not
That
spoiled.
pretty much, I'm gonna tell you this: if you come to my house and you got a kid that's disrespectful to you verbally and all that stuff,
You got to go.
Gotta go.
yeah,
Them
don't
kids for
bring
the
him around me
streets.
because I ain't with that. Mine is in line. We don't play them games over here. I ain't with that.
So I mean, a part of me gave a pass to Jonas because his look at his parents. The mother was overbearing, right? And then you had a father who was not even really there for him, right? And he saw how the father was treating people, and people respected him, but it was out of fear. But the kid doesn't really understand that, right? And then on top of that, when they had these magical toys that Santa had brought off the first time that weren't working for him, Jonas got upset. He's like, well, why don't these toys work for me? So I can understand why he was smashing some of them because he's like, kids were playing with them, they're not working for me. Again, misplaced anger, but again, I can understand that he didn't have proper guidance from his parents, right? Magnus, on the other hand, I feel like with him, it was terrible. It's like, dude, you were so caught up on getting this woman's affection and trying to get into power that you were willing to basically sell your soul to get what you needed. And that to me, and then on top of that, even when he had an opportunity to kind of change it, even after, he, you know, had committed the crime that he did, he still just continued to go down this route and down this road of just being, a terrible person. So to me, it's like I have to say that him and Dagmar, I think are neck and neck for me because for her to sit there and just go with whatever was told to her and not really take a step back and say, well, does this really make any sense? That to me is what really gets me, right? Like a lot of times they have these characters where they just kind of just go, and it's like I don't understand. If you had a connection with this person, you knew the type of person your father was and who he was keeping around him, why would you think otherwise, right? Like you can just look, and then one thing that gets me anytime they have these characters drawn, like when you look at Magnus, you knew he was going to be a rat. Like you could just tell. They always draw them a certain way every single time it comics. You always see it in movies. It's always the same. So like to me, it's like you would stop to say, like, something ain't right with this dude. Something just ain't right. He doesn't look like the leading character, but that's just me. A part of me was just like, you knew he wasn't going to be right from the beginning. But for her to just continue down this, like, I have on my rose-colored glasses, and it's okay. I believe him. It's stupid. That to me, I had to say they neck and neck because they each were screwed up in their own rights. Jonas was just a product of their misfortune, I think. And in all honesty, I don't get him. I don't even blame him for his problems. But when we think about the story, in the parts where with Claus, he really kept coming into contact with the spirits of the forest, right? On several occasions. And I feel as though with them, they really kept telling him bits and pieces of like what his destiny is or what his purpose is. And it's like, when you think about it and how he came into being, in the beginning, his mother was frozen, solid, but he was still alive. And he was found by, the leader of the town. So you have to beg the question, why do you think the forest spirits chose Claus? Like, his name itself means victory of the people. So, like, what about him, like, that put him into that? Like, what do you think really made him, of course, these forest spirits really stand out? And D, I'll go with you.
I don't know why they chose him as a baby. Like, they don't go, they don't go into too much detail in that. I just think that him being on his own, out in the wilderness, with his wolf companion, and really just learning to live off the land, learning different herbs to survive, but also respecting nature and the spirituality of that area was something that I think that the spirits may have respected and chose him in that sense. But yeah, that's all I got from it. Or at least all they gave us is all they gave you. Maybe then other chapters you'll get more, but that's all I got from this right now.
Okay, all right, Mr. Refine, what you think? What you think is that made him so special?
I actually think he was probably preordained. It's kind of like you're just born to be blessed with certain gifts, whether it be athletically or whatever. I think it was pretty much preordained that he was going to be that special person. And what added to that was the fact that his mom froze to death and he was still alive as a baby, probably a newborn. I'm gonna go with, but he was preordained to have these gifts, and I believe that still rings true right now to a lot of different stuff. And I believe we all have different gifts that we're preordained to have that you can take advantage of or let go. So he was that person that was chosen to utilize whatever it was he had to utilize. And as D said, he was one with nature, so he was able to understand and do things a little bit better. And to add to your question you had earlier, that was him carving those toys. I felt like the spirits was actually possessing him and giving him that energy, and he would do it. And then he would wake up in the morning and he'd say, "Oh, my arms are sore. Why are my arms sore?" But he didn't know it, but the spirits took over him and had him, do this stuff in the good nature to pass on the fruits to children, pretty much. So he was preordained in a nutshell.
Ooh. I mean, when he said he woke up and his arms were sore, I mean, of course, the pervert in me thought something else, but that was just me. But I do think it's pretty interesting because a part of me was thinking, what would be the actual reason for this, right? And I'm thinking whether his mother, and I started thinking about what was happening with his mother. I'm like, maybe his mother made a pact that she would give up her child, like she would give up her life for the child, and in return, a child has to go and do something that the forest spirits really wanted. Or maybe he came from a line of people who, again, were really in touch with nature, and something happened to the mother, and of course the forest spirits are like, well, we want to protect the child, so they kept making things happen so that he could eventually get to his purpose. But I'm just thinking along those lines, like maybe it's something like that. I mean, maybe we'll find out in the future issues and iterations, but I just was kind of curious because she was frozen solid, just like old girl in Frozen. Okay. So, like, again, it's like the baby didn't freeze, the baby didn't die, right? So clearly there's something special about him. And I don't think it's just a random thing. I think it was really, there must be something in his bloodline, in my opinion, that really ties him to something that's really old, to nature, to something that's really tied to that. Because why else would the forest spirits look out for him at such a young age? But that's just me.
I think it might tie into the hated ancient ones, if I got that right, or yeah, that's what one of the antagonists had mentioned.
Yes.
So maybe he's a part of that bloodline or something of that nature.
Gotta be. So Santa Claus, right? Right. So then the thing is that we have this giant demon that gets called upon by Baron Magnus. And of course, we talked about Krampus in one of our episodes. And I was just curious, did y'all get the feeling that demon was Krampus? Because he kept saying, bad children belong to me. And I'm like, oh, that's Krampus.
Yeah.
Krampus.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I don't know. I mean, like, what you guys think? I'm going to go with you, Mr. Refine. What you think?
Yeah, I missed that episode with y'all. But I did watch the movie. And that when I first seen this demon, that's the first thing I thought of, just based upon the facial representation of the horns and all that stuff. I say, yeah, that's Krampus, just in my mind, my imagination. So absolutely, that was him. In my mind, that was him.
Yeah. What about you, D?
Yeah, I mean, just for I think certain children that he was saying that, but I think overall he was just a demon that again children had the most. I want to say like probably the most spirit energy, for lack of a better word.
Monster Inc. had that.
Yeah, but like a better term. So I mean, he just was like, yeah, I'm gonna consume them. Their essence probably was
pure.
What, yeah, it was pure, or it's the emotion that probably ran that was uninhibited by actually thinking critically. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. Some aspects of Krampus, but not all.
Yeah,
and he was trying to snatch up Jonah's badass. So yeah.
I mean, I would have to say I think it was, but I've also thought it was pretty interesting how they drew upon the inspiration, at least in my eyes, of a Wendigo. It's really had that look to it, right? Of a creature that, and, when you think about the history of Wendigos, they are supposedly supposed to be individuals who have kind of morphed into these evil spirits because of cannibalism, and I think of a few other reasons. But I just think it's pretty interesting that he kind of looked like that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was, maybe a previously bad child, right, who just kind of morphed into this, or maybe some other type of demon, right? But I just thought it was interesting that he was like, nope, I want all the bad kids. I want to eat these kids, especially Jonas.
Yeah.
It's almost like it gives me the vibes of a little bit of Jeepers Creepers when he would just like sniff you out. Like I feel like that was the type of feeling I got from this creature. Like it was definitely pulling from that for sure. So before we, kick off onto our second part of this, because really we were supposed to do this in 2 separate episodes, but last week, we didn't get an opportunity to. Before we kick this off, I just want to say I think Claus, it's just a really cool graphic novel. You definitely should check it out. I definitely will be buying the other iterations or series of it because I think there's like 6 or 7 in total. So I'm really excited to see where they're going to take that story. I mean, again, the artwork is just beautiful.
Crazy.
I think that the artist on this, I think, was just phenomenal. And I think the storyline itself is really nice. It's over 200 pages. I think it's like 204 or something like that, but it doesn't feel like it. And a lot of these are like really large pictures to kind of build up the world itself. So
beautiful.
Again, it's beautiful. It's heavily set in a wintry scene. They didn't have a lot of too dark and a lot of too during the day type of scenes, but I think it was just a beautiful story overall. But any last words you guys have before we go over into our next topic for today?
I'm ready to get into it.
That's right. Just go get that Claus. You know what I mean? Get that volume 1, 2, 3.
So with that, this is the last Friday of 2021.
That's a fact.
Right? I mean, we have done several episodes together, and I thought it would just be nice to kind of do a recap a little bit with each other, and also just like, what are we hoping to do for the future, right? Of course, we're also going to listen to what our fans want, but I do think that what we have in mind, we've talked a little bit offline about what we want to do. I think it'd be nice to kind of give a preview, to people who are checking us out as to, what have we done and what we want to do for the future. So with that, the very first thing I want to throw out there, and I think this would be a great way, right? Because we have come to learn and actually learn and know each other a little bit more through this story, or like through this podcast. Because prior to that, we kind of have seen each other and messaged each other, but like really have gotten to know each other. So I think this would be a nice way to kind of say, what's one thing you appreciate about each of your co-hosts? And I will go first.
Right, you start first. It's not just good.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna set the stage. So I have to say, honestly, for the two of you, I think what I really have appreciated is just the fact of how you guys have really owned your nerdiness, and just the fact of when we have communicated and really connected offline, just the love that you guys have for your families, for your partners, right? And I think to me it's so endearing because in society, Black men are always viewed as these emotionless creatures who are just angry. They can't have a family. They're not in their children's lives. But you guys have done this exceptionally well. Like Dee, on several occasions, your daughter has come up onto the podcast camera, which I think is adorable, right? And you just take it in stride, right? You just take it in stride. And how you guys have talked about your kids, how you guys have talked about your partners, and it's so endearing. It's like, sure, you guys have your issues, relationships don't, but you guys are just so loving. And I think that changes that idea of like what a black man is. You know, you guys are nerds, you guys are strong, you guys are loving, you guys are innovative, you guys are just creative. And that to me, I think is just something that I really want to kind of highlight for both of you. But I also do love the banter that we have with each other, whether it's on here or offline. But I really just have to say you guys have been really brotherly, and I truly do appreciate it about you guys. So that's my 2 cents for you too.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take the stage next then.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna start with you, Suds. First off, you definitely have a way of highlighting and showing things that definitely me and D don't see. You have that woman's touch. Your eye for just picking things out is absolutely beautiful. And most importantly, the way that you handle things that everybody don't know, but we are aware of in your personal life, you take that and you handle that like in my personal opinion, a lot of people would not do. And I have to commend you for that. I have to give you your flowers for that, because you definitely hold it down and you still are able to add in your 2 cents in here and have fun. Like, you don't really let it affect you. And if it does get you to that point, you say, you know what, guys, I got to take a break from this week, whatever. But I love that about you. And I absolutely mean that. Like, it's not common to find that now. The average person in your circumstance would have folded a long time ago. So I got to give you your flowers for that right now.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And last but not least, your cosplay. Budget on the cosplay. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
On a budget.
Yeah. Now, my brother D
Yes.
is something else, man. Despite the fact that he's normally running like the last minute late, he's always very well organized. Like, honestly, he has his stuff put together, whether it be in a notebook or whether it's just on his phone or something. He's very well put together. He has a way of, as you said, handling his baby on the side and still being able to focus and stuff. So he's able to multitask very, very well. And as you said, that's not something that we are seen as black men. So salute to you, bro, for that. And I absolutely love both you guys, and I mean that. And I love the relationship that we've gained through this time, online and offline. So cheers to y'all. Happy New Year, and I'm happy for having both of y'all in my life. So that's my thing.
That's beautiful right there, man. I appreciate that.
I know, right?
I don't know how I'm about to follow up on that. For me, I'm just gonna say I keep it my 100% self. Suds, I'll start off with you. Again, ladies first. Definitely just continuing to show like what you can do, what a lot of black women do, like when they had the time
Yes.
to put into it, whether that's new background, whether that's doing the countdown, all these things that I may have watched or talked about, you are able to do them when you have when you actually have the time. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of time for you to do that and create it. So your creativity, bar none, is there, not just here in the show, but also on your own, on your drink with Suds. You know what I mean? Just like
Suds
that podcast. If y'all don't know, Suds definitely loves craft beer. Y'all got to check her out. Just got to bring that back. And yeah, I love that about you. Love that you, to Mr. Refine's point, you bring that, not only just that woman's perspective, but just also just that feminine energy where it needs to be, where we may be getting caught up on maybe one particular thing, but you veer it off to the other way. So it's good to have that. And Mr. Refine, man, we started from the bottom, bro. Started from the bottom. Now we're here, man. Yeah. Like, this was a conversation where I was like, yo, I wanted to do this. And you was like, man, let's do it. And I think when we got started first doing it on just IG lives, and then I was like, hey man, we were both thinking it, but I just mentioned it. Yeah, I was just like, do you want to? I was thinking we could get Suds in here, and you was like, I was thinking the same thing, and I was like, man, that already let me know we were all on the same wavelength. But you and I in particular, man, like this great conversation that we have on and off, man. We always watching Klaus with Car. We always watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I got to shout out to them. Shout out to Professor Hunter as well, and Nubia, and narrative. So shout out to that. Got to join that, which Mr. Refine did. So I was like, hey man, watch this, and he already joined it. So I need to step my game.
I'm in there
in that aspect. But no, man, you just held me. You hold me down, bro. Like on camera, off camera. And we just get a lot of things going on. So I just like our dynamic as a group. When I'm not on, it's great to see y'all. Like I love like either catching the live when I can't make it or just listening to it on the replay. And like, man, it feels good to have team members to where it's like, yo, this is what it is. You know, sometimes I do get when it comes to being making sure we do the show, not being on time, because you know I'll be late as I don't know what. But when it comes to doing the show though, like I want to be consistent because again, this is not a job for me. This is a passion. This is fun.
Right.
So I don't mind putting in all that organizational effort or really trying to get y'all feedback. And again, it's a lot of things because I want to jump forward that I've just taken and did it and then come back and talk to y'all. And we was like, hey man, we talked about taking it, slowing it down, holding up, which I taking step backs and listening to y'all at the same time. I still voice like what it is that I want us to do because I see so much potential in this. And I'm glad that y'all can understand that at the same time saying, hey, this is how we are as people. And this is what we do. So we have a lot of in-depth, governance conversations with each other, which I appreciate. And I need that because a lot of times when you have so much energy you see greatness, you just want to push forward. And sometimes you push forward at the wrong time and everything is balanced. And that balance is being imbalanced a lot of times, but it's always putting it at the right spot. And I just love the fact that, especially Mr. Refine's like, man, just build the audience, build a community, and let's keep this going. And we'll get what we need to get to. And as long as we got each other's back, then we good to go no matter how long it takes. So I appreciate y'all. And on that, cheers. And shout out to Brent for holding us down. Look at that, man. That cobbler, let me move my finger. Look at me messing up. That thing look nice right there. It's a wonderful cobbler smell on there.
So with that, I mean, we have done tons of episodes, right? With movies or series. What has been your favorite so far? I'm curious. What have you got? I know that one might be a little hard to do.
It is.
But I'm just curious. Do you guys have any that stick out to you like immediately?
I'm gonna say like I'm definitely. It's gonna be all of the Black comic creators. You know, shout out to the one we did with Onaji, Concrete Comics. Shout out to Dream Fury and Monster City, which again, to me, you know, hands down, drawing wise, hands down, story. Monster City, in my perspective, is probably going to be my number one, just because like the storyline and the artwork, it really just ties into what the aspect of that comic is. So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to TJ Sterling and Ray Comics, like got Alchemist and Joystick Angels, which I need to go through so I can bring him on again, and we can do that. I mean, you have the antagonist that and I forgot what comic company that was, so a publishing house, so excuse me for that, but they're coming up. I mean, I got to buy theirs and read that, but it's just, I love to bring in our people and show their creativity. So I'm gonna just say any of the comic creators that we talked to, and shout out to the quick critic QC. You know what I mean? He was a real one. He definitely does his thing. So I mean, everything all together is what I'm trying to say, but definitely got a shout out to the comic book creators, most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. I think the Black creators that we've had on have been phenomenal. I think that really being able to hear why they did it, what was the inspiration behind it, I thought was really cool. So those are always going to be top favorites for me. But I think the other ones that really get me are the ones that we've always had great discussions on, and we really had some real debates on.
Yeah.
So we got into it with a lot of them, and I think some of the ones with like when we did The Witcher, when we did Castlevania, when we even got into Perfect Blue, and we did Kite, like those are the ones that we were really starting to get into some really good debates, and I always enjoy that because I'll say something that's like way out there. You're like, nah, that ain't right. Here's why. Here's this and this. So to me, I just love. I love those, especially in some of those episodes that you guys have seen where D really gets passionate about it. Or when it really gets me, it's when Mr. Refine gets into it. I'm just like,
right.
Make sure I keep. But it's really cool just to see that because I think again, we talk a lot about just the representation of us in media, right? And we don't see that a lot, right? And so we try to draw these parallels of things that we're seeing within our own lives and within society. And then we bring in these Black creators who really are trying to represent us in this new media, right? Like trying to represent new stories that aren't rooted in Black pain, that aren't rooted in Black trauma, that I think are really nice. Really trying to draw the elements that family do exist, that family is important in the Black community. And then just bringing about this idea that we can dabble in magic, we can dabble in the future. So I think that that's just something that I think is really nice. And I do know that we're looking to do more of that next year, but I also do love just really tearing apart some of the stuff that we've watched and just saying that, yeah, have you seen it? There ain't no Black people in this. So I really like when we get into that. Those are sometimes some of my favorite moments. But Mr. Fine, what about you?
I have a couple movies I liked. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Vampire Hunter and Ninja Scroll, etc. But I loved Kite and Perfect Blue, just that discussion and something about that. But as far as the creators, I loved all of the creators we've had on here, whether it be QC, whether it be the comic creators, whether it was Nerd Soul, anybody that came on as a guest. Shout out to y'all for coming on. We don't have an audience and all that, but y'all came through. You showed love. We had conversations. Right. And be honest with you, my most favorite conversation, just keep it 100, was with Onaji. He was something about him. He was just uncut. He was raw with his stuff. Like he had no filter, and I loved that energy. I don't know who he reminded me of, but it was a good vibe, and something about him was like, yeah, I like to have a conversation with him face to face, off camera, and you know what I mean, get really pick his brain and just talk about different stuff. But everybody that came on, it was great. It was great energy. It was great love, and I love to get that more of that in the future.
Yeah, Nerd Soul. Shout out to Nerd Soul, man. Nerd Soul, we definitely. That's why I was like, man, who am I missing? And you said it, Nerd Soul, man. You're a real one.
I believe he's live right now. We got to get him back on here for 20.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I actually got some plans on that, but I know we're gonna keep going. Says I don't want to mess it up. There we go. What do we?
No.
Yep, there you go. Right into it.
Who do you want to have on in 2022?
Can I go first?
Yeah, I know who he wants. Go ahead and say it. Starts with the letter F.
Nah, you say what? Sorry, who?
Starts with the letter F.
Oh yeah. You already know. Hands down, I gotta have Fantastic Frankie get on this show and stop playing. Shout out Fantastic Frankie. No, she a real one, and shout out my boy Ajakari, anonymityfilms.com. Like he definitely was like, yo, you will really like her. And I started watching Fantastic Frankie, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Definitely want to have Black Sands on here. I mean, they're going to be on Shark Tank this January 7th.
Yes, they are. That's about to be I was going to talk about that.
And I just want to say real quick, and I won't take too much time, we got to invest in our own. We can't say we want to make our own and we don't invest in it, because at the end of the day, we give everybody else our money, no matter whether we like them, don't like them, agree with their political views or not, and we don't say nothing about them. But when it comes to us, Black folks, we want everything. We want them to ship bricks and pee out rainbows. And reality is like you never ever gonna find somebody, even if you agree with them on majority of things, you still could disagree with them on some things. So if they really for the culture, as everybody tries to, everyone tries to use that. Like I'm for the culture, but it's like, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? Like, are you showcasing Black people? Like I like a Black Sands where you should invest in. I mean, it's like. It's ridiculous. I mean, also fan base as well. But anyway, what I want to do 2022, I want to do two things. I want to continue the Black creators showcase, but one of the things I want to do as well with that creative or creator aspect, because I'm really talking about comic books and the creative aspect. I want to showcase all the Black anime podcasts. So, and that's something that Sudz had mentioned to one of the podcasts that she sent out for us to take a look at. But there's several other ones, Spicy Ramen.
Really?
HNIC. I mean, we already had Nerd Soul on here, so shout out to Nerd Soul for real. I mean, you have so many that were following that it's like, yo, we got to have them on here because it's that community. I think Onaji said it best. Was like you got to build. I mean, he's pretty much talking about doing like a networking event for these type of people. But this is what Black Nerd Fridays is. It's really to showcase us, and it's unapologetically, as Mr. Refine has preached since day one of starting this. And I'm just excited to keep doing it because we make our own lane. We make what's popular. And I'm not gonna worry about what marks it hit or does not hit. Because at the end of the day, I want to get our people, because especially with Black women, A, and also with the Black men, and B, once you get the black women, it's done.
The men gonna follow.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
and
no,
the word of the late great
might.
Tupac said it the best. He said, "You get the women, and I ain't gonna quote exactly what he said, but you know what he said. You get them, and you're gonna follow." That's it.
It's a support. It's the hands down love that you got to get. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. But go ahead, Seth.
You know the other thing I would love to see. I would love to get black voice actors on here because I think that's something else that we don't really talk about a lot. So we have black creators, the black writers, the black artists. But I think having black voice actors, I think, would be really dope because there are tons out there. You just don't know it. And I love the fact of you being able to be put into different types of animations, cartoons, and your voice is out there, but no one knows, right? And everybody falls in love with you, black, white, whatever, and they have no idea that that's what you are. Like, and I think that, to me, I think is a pretty interesting, thing to look at and kind of dig into. But I would love to get some black voice actors, and of course, you got to get the cosplayers up here because, like, to me, when they have a budget, I would love to get some trade secrets and be like, so where do y'all get y'all outfits? Because I want to get me some better ones instead of trying to piece something together that's in my closet.
they be making them. Shout out to all.
I know, and I don't have that. Or sometimes they have someone who can make them. So I'm like, if you can find me somebody, hell, I'll pay you to get it done. So it can fit me just right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
you go to hit up Bad Waifu. That's one that does the jackets and all that. So hey,
cosplay. Look, the names already. He dropped the names.
Hey,
I wonder why.
Shout out to all the black women cosplayers. I'm holding them down. I don't care what nobody say. Fact. It's a fact.
Look, you know what? What about you, Mr. Fine? Is there anybody that you have top of mind before D starts going off the deep end?
Yeah, he gonna go off. I gotta stay up the Black Nerd page because he be having nothing but that on there. You know what I mean? And I agree with him. I agree with you 100%. I'm looking at it. But
Queens.
I'd love to have more of us on here. Like I really would like to get TJ back on here and have a conversation after reading. I haven't read or listened to the soundtrack, and I've been waiting to do that. And I believe once I do, that's what's gonna push me to say, yo, we got to get him on like next week or something, because I really want to get him on. He was one of our first guests. I definitely want to get some big names on here. We already got the brother coming off of the He-Man joint, so that's
He-Man.
I really, 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 really would like to have Black Sands on here. That's
Season 2 is fire.
Black Sands, yes. Especially after him having Shark Tank.
That
would be dope to talk about.
Crazy. And it's not even for the fame and notoriety. It's to have a conversation to see, what was your inspiration?
Exactly.
Where did you get this from? And how was it growing up and being into this? Because when we nerds, we like this all our lives. We like this anime stuff all our lives. What did you go through? You know what I mean? Living and having these thoughts and desires.
Man.
I think the other thing too is to get his take on actually going through the process, because a lot of us probably will hear, like we can get his inspiration from the beginnings, but I think the part that's always missing is we hear the beginning and what was inspiring them and when they get to that place, but what happened in between. I think that's the biggest thing. You get what I'm saying? But I think part of it, right? But I think a part of it is just, I would love to hear, because he was very diligent about who he was partnering with, who he was pulling in, how he was moving through, deals that he had turned down. And I think that would be something that I would really like to push and ask him, like, when you were going through that, you had a vision, but were there moments in time where you were like, am I doing the right thing? But how did you get yourself to not get into that hole of kind of questioning why you were doing it?
No.
But not just who told you no, but how did you overcome hearing that no? But that's the other thing too. Like, how did he? Right, but I also think the other thing too is like when you hear no, right? Because people have different ways of kind of overcoming those no's and those hurdles. And to me, I think hearing how someone who looks like you did that, I think it's important, because that might be something else. You know what I'm saying?
That's my purpose behind it. I want to hear that because we have this other conversation a couple weeks ago about somebody. It keeps circling back around, and it ain't about your favorite person. No. It's about look at her face. It's not about your favorite person. It's about the other thing that we talk about, and it's about the critique of that specific brand. And those conversations need to be had. So what I want to do is have that conversation with him or any one of us that's successful and say, hey, what did you do to overcome it? But how did it feel when you reached out to this person who might have been successful prior to you and they shut you down, didn't respond or whatever, and they're supposed to be for us, right? I want to have that conversation. That's the conversation I want to have. Let's talk about it. Then we can talk about the fun shit, but let's get into the real stuff first.
And that's
told you no.
Yeah, and that's the government's conversation that we can have, as Mr. Refine always say, off mic, off air,
off mic, off a hot mic, no hot mic.
My main thing with having Black Sands, and I'm glad what that was mentioned, is really I'm just keeping 100. Like, if there is a Black publishing company or any company out there that is working to get to what they need to get to. Yeah, hold on.
She's telling you to keep it short.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what time it is. She's learning what time it is. To tell time. It's a beautiful thing. It's really just to get people to be like, look, why don't you join them? Because every time we've been taught to self-hate each other so much that when someone has confidence, like the founder and the CEO of Black Sands, it's always like, oh, they're arrogant, blah blah blah. But I mean, like, but you'll praise Elon Musk. You'll praise Jeff Bezos. You'll praise Bill Gates. You'll praise Warren Buffett, and you think Warren Buffett's all super nice, but he's cutthroat as it could be. Hence why he got the money that he's gotten. So I really want us to understand and continue to push that. You need to collaborate with these people, and don't take it personal. There's a lot of times, even off mic, where I've talked to Sudz and Mr. Refine about certain interviews and stuff I've asked for multiple times that I got no's for, and they was like, okay, but to me, I don't take it personal. It could be at a point where it's like, yo, these are the things that you needed. And a lot of times too, we don't want to hear from people that look like us what the criteria would be for them to come on. And I'm not talking about just somebody who feels they're higher than or whatever, but it could be certain deals that they're doing. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to knock somebody in a capitalistic society from getting to the bag. Now if they get into the bag by throwing us under the bus, then that's a problem. But we gotta also remember, as I mentioned earlier, that we cannot continually critique us to a level that's so high, but then any other company that we've been buying from our whole life that's white owned, we do not critique. We do not critique at all. We don't show up to no meetings. We don't overly buy no shares. All we do is just get on social media and, like Drake said, Twitter fingers out here. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Like, let's be honest. So anyway,
well, you know what I mean? I think
soapbox now.
I think that's why, for 2022, I think, besides looking at the most anticipated movie or series, I think just thinking about what are we looking for as far as a group. I think the biggest thing, like you said, is looking for more material that showcase us, right? Materials, whether it's from Black Sands, it's from some of the other creators that we've had on the show, right?
Green Fury, especially. Let's go.
Right. Or even if there's like startup company, like for me, I'm personally looking into, investing into startup companies, honestly. So like
I keep hearing you in this investing in startup companies. That's your thing, huh?
We need to invest in this BlackNerdFridays. That's what we need to do.
Let me tell you. No, listen. I'm gonna tell you something. This is big. When you think about investing, a lot of people kind of, oh, it's stupid. I'm like, but if you're willing to throw in money for NFTs and cryptocurrency, why are you not willing to invest in a company that actually, is trying to actually create something that you can actually see or interact with, right? Like that to me is something that I'm always getting on people about. And I'm like, there's so many, and when you think about just investing in general, and we're seeing this right now with Crown and Hops, right? They have over 1,000 investors and they're just inching close to $1 million, right? And that to me says a lot. Here's a brand that has a large number of following, right? Regardless of race, right? They should be hitting that milestone. They should have hit that a long time ago. But when you think about when you actually are looking for people to invest in companies that are Black owned, veteran owned, like that's the thing that gets me. You have a veteran, you got 2 Black individuals, right? They can alumni.
You got a woman. You got a woman.
You got a Howard
but
Long,
like
all these things. And they have marketing. They got all this type of experience under their belt, and people were still coming at them questioning if they're able to do it. And like you said, D, and that's the thing. So to me, it's like I'm looking to invest in those type of companies outside of beer, outside of comics. There are other types of Black-owned businesses that are in fashion, that are in healthcare, that are in, apps, all kinds of stuff that I'm willing to like look into for next year to really be able to like put my money into.
I'm gonna say this: if I can spend, and we know as craft beer drinkers, the money we spend on craft beer, like again, come on, we're not
get Evie started on that.
Yeah, let's not even.
Oh, she's like that credit card bill. Hold on.
But let's not even play ourselves where it's like if you're gonna throw $500, and I'm just saying you throw $500 at some liquid. I mean, like as a lot of us have done, myself included, and it could be a one-time spend. It could be over. It could be 2 or 3 stops. I mean, if we keep it 100, because you're talking about the high ABV life, that's gonna run you. If you're talking about, me, I don't do just a bottle. I'll be trying to get the growler out here. Give me that 32 ounce. Let me cash out. You know what I mean? But reality is, if you can spend that money on that, then you definitely should do it. And I love. And I mean, we say Crown and House, but I also say fan base because that's another thing. And again,
everybody's joint.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's still watching. Like, here they go, but like, no, I'm going there. Fan base. It was $5 a share on Start Engine. Now it's $8 a share, which I'm definitely gonna get into because they still just in their first week of their second round. They raised I think 2.5 or 3 million. They're going for another 2.
Yes.
I mean,
I need to get in there then.
Yeah, for Crown and Hops. You're talking about 200. I mean, it's $250 minimum, and you're getting that's $5 a share right now. We got to get on there. And I know when this airs, it's still 18 days left. So even if we upload this for other people who are not watching live on the replay, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and go ahead and subscribe. Is that like you can still invest in them at $5 a share, $250 minimum? Come on now, like. We talking about some shares out here that can be getting Black Sands right before January 7th. He still got it open.
He still got it open. Yep.
And let me not just say him, his wife, and him, because again, his wife is I think she's the CFO, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong. But they already hit they had 3 million goal, which they had up for the longest time. They got up there to the million after they said they're gonna be on Shark Tank. But reality is that it's $100 minimum to get into there. That's $100. What are you spending $100 on? You spend $100 on your cell phone bill, on the cable that you barely watch these channels.
$1,200.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, I mean, we talk good. You know what I mean? Like, we talk well, but when it comes to putting the money where our mouth is, we don't know. But we won't put our money. We won't even put our money where our mouth is in places that have shown growth. But these are individuals that we're talking about: Crown and Hops, Black Sands, fan base, where it's like they've met of expectation, or they have put their brands to a level to where their brand's name is either you're either speaking on it or you're talking about it in some shape, way, or form. So the goal is just to make it happen. You know what I mean? Like that's bottom line. That's all I'm saying. Let's make it happen.
I love it. So with that,
I want to answer this last question before you end. The series anticipated 2022.
Yeah, you want to actually answer it. Okay.
I got some movies I want to see.
Which movies is that?
You already know number 1 is going to be Batman. So, everybody else that ain't Batman fans fall back. Batman is number 1. I do want to see you got haters over here. What else I've seen? I just seen Spider-Man. Spider-Man was excellent. So I forgot that I want to see Morbius, but
Morbius is a good one. Yeah.
Anime and comics and stuff wise. I'm feeling like they're gonna do another Witcher. Like they did Nightmare of the Wolf. I feel like they're gonna do another one of those. I just started watching Boba Fett, which is crazy. I don't know if y'all Star Wars heavy like I am. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff I want to see. So that's what I really wanted to answer because we ain't really get into that.
Yeah, because we ran off. I mean, for me, I gotta yeah, my bad. I went crazy. I mean, 2022, definitely want to see Dada, Dragon's Blood. You know what I mean? Come on, season 2. Season 1 was fire.
Yep.
Season 2, I hope it's gonna be fire. I mean, like I'm trying to think of other movies that are coming out this year. I mean, I really don't know off the top of my head. There is a game. I just watched it. That's coming out 2022. I just want some better anime. Like I'm just keeping it 100. Like,
I hope they do better with what's the black joint we watch? Yasuki.
Oh, Yasuki.
If they do that again, season 2, you gotta come on. You gotta come better. You got Lakeith Stanfield. That's the boy right there. Yeah. I rock with him heavy. You gotta come better with that.
Yeah, Yasuke. They gotta the two brothers, the twin brothers, who again as black men to have animation studio in Japan. The heart of where anime come from is already bar none above what anybody would have thought. My thing is like you cannot try to collide everything you love into one anime.
Definitely not,
because you just can't do it. You can't do it. And we, especially with a historical figure that people debate to this day, not about did he exist, but what did he do? How did he know Lord Obunaga? Come on, the dude.
I ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna do that, right?
I know they're not. You know what I mean? But anyway, moving
on.
That's what I want to see.
Right?
I know
they're not gonna do that, right?
I just want to see Dada Dragon's Blood Part 2.
Yes,
I want
to see the Chaos Dragon from Dada.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I want. I want CD Projekt Red to do better. All right. I want all these, not just CD Projekt Red, all these video game companies that have went to mobile or that have had, they got so big that they got people to come invest and buy large portions of the company to where the founders, because they may not own majority anymore, they're sitting on a board where somebody owns like 40 to 50% of the shares and they're like maybe a 20-30%. You gotta take a stand. You gotta take a stand because I'm Cyberpunk 2077. I didn't buy it because I don't got a PS5 or Xbox Series X. You know what I mean? I saw some gameplay, multiple people, and it was horrible. And you still charge top of the line. You still said you're gonna do downloads, but you still said you're gonna fix patches. And instead of fixing patches, you came out with Cyberpunk 2077, the mobile game, because your Witcher mobile game got millions of dollars. And it's like, okay, then we understand what this is. It's a money grab in this capitalist society.
But listen, when you got when you got the people pushing for the game, right, it's either you have it, what happens with Half-Life. Either you try to make the game so perfect that it never gets released. Right. Or you do the opposite, which is the other end of the spectrum, where you push the game out,
throw it out.
And it's like, well, we'll just patch it as we go. I mean, that's really what it is, because people are going to lose interest over it. People are going to complain, and you lose traction. That is the biggest thing that happens with these games.
They've been working on Cyberpunk 2077. When
they've been working on Half-Life 3.
I know, but the thing is,
how long? And
they had Neal, Keanu Reeves as the main character in Cyberpunk.
Yes,
so we knew already. And then think about the movie. I know y'all watched it. The movie was trash. It was fucking garbage. Period. When he started petting them Sentinels and they rubbing up against him, I said it's over.
But you know what? But I'm not even going to allow you guys to continue on that.
Yeah, no, we got to stop.
We about to go way over time.
No, we're sorry.
Saying, hey,
2022, here we come, baby. Let's go.
Thank you all who have been with us all this time. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you guys in 2022.
Hey.
So, bye-bye.
Cheers. We out.
Cheers, y'all.